In part one and part two, we talked about a bunch of things. We talked about the journey from when I wanted to be a doctor to when I finally moved to college. And then in part two, we talked about how I failed 2 times. So just a quick recap. The first dropping out was doing biochemistry. Finished a year, didn't complete it, didn't take my last exams and just left. The second was medical laboratory science. I finally just gave up and said I didn't want to do this anymore. I looked at my parents in their eyes and said, I don't want this. I took a leap of faith, which was the fourth lesson we learned. If you haven't watched the first part, 1 and 2, the links are going to be in the card and also in the description. You can check those out. And I'll try to complete the story in part 3. I can't make any promises because I just realized telling this story how many intricate parts I've had to skip over just because I want to get to the point of the journey to actually dropping out 3 times. I go back home and tell my parents I don't want to do this anymore. This sounds like a movie, doesn't it? But it's not. My mom cries, my dad is disappointed, nobody talks to me at home. Even my siblings are worried about me. They just feel terrible, feel bad. And I, as a firstborn child, wondering, did I make the right call? Did I do the right thing? And I don't know where this idea is coming from for me to do journalism. I have no idea where this whole feeling, like this is what I should do, comes. But then I make a phone call. I call my friend Hamlet Dandy. I ask Hamlet, hey, what do you need to do journalism? I know that Hamlet is doing a double major in journalism and women and gender studies because that's who Hamlet is. He's cool like that. And he says, all you need is 9 points. And if you've watched the first 2 videos, you remember that when I finished the advanced level, I had A, B, E, D. A 5 points, B alone is 4 points, E is 1 point, and D is 3 points. So I have 12 points, which is pretty good. I tell my parents I'll do journalism. My parents are worried. By then they're talking to me again, but they're actually still worried. And they wonder what I'm going to do with my life at that point. But for some reason, I feel like this is the right path. For the first time in my adult life or my early 20s life, I feel like I'm actually making a decision that is mine. I didn't want to do medicine because I wanted to do medicine because my uncle was a doctor. Although I wanted to do literature, my parents guided me to study the sciences. And no matter what exam I wrote, I sort of felt like I was just going to a path that was not mine. And for the first time in a long time, this felt like the right call. And it was. Because that's when I found James Altucher. That's when I found about satirical writing, about deprecating, self-deprecation writing, and authentic writing, as my friend Buffoon would call it. And so I take the leap and I already feel the abundance of success. I already know that I will get here. I don't know how that kind of confidence happens, but it's a kind of confidence that doesn't require proof. I just knew I would get into journalism, and I did. And that was my 3rd degree program. Remember that all my friends who started in 2007, the majority have graduated by 8, 9, 10. 2010, they're gone. 11, they're over. And I'm restarting for the 3rd time in college. If I knew then what I know now about time, I don't know if I would have felt as comfortable. And I don't know if it was a good thing. But then when I restarted, I went back to journalism. I did not carry any mindset of knowing university. I went there as a blank slate to start from scratch, and many people did not believe me. And one of the few friends that I made there, Trevor Sonne, one of the few friends that I made there, that's like the only person who I could actually relate to. And most of my friends or the people that I hung out with were classes ahead of me because I was older. My mind was older. I had been the youngest in my class from 1 in St. Bates when I was 10 years old. Most of my classmates were at least 11 or 12. The youngest person was 9 years old, and we still know each other up to today. But I was 10. I was around the youngest in my class. Imagine living from being the youngest for 7 years straight to be one of the oldest in your class. Journalism was an amazing time. I was the best student in my class for the first year. I met a lot of amazing people, made connections I do now. I started writing my blog. I made some money with blogging, teaching my classmates how to blog. I got connected with people, and that is when I actually opened up to the University of Boya because I connected with people that I still talk with today, tech entrepreneurs, the tech space, and people. And I think this is one other lesson. I don't know if it's the 5th or the 6th lesson about letting yourself enjoy the things that you're good at. The mistake I made also then was that I did not enjoy blogging. I was blogging as a result of my ability, but I did not dive into it. I started feeling that I wanted to do blogging for a long time, which, as you would see in the coming years, was something that I should have listened to again. Same mistakes, not listening to my God, not taking action. I should have felt it and started more. Journalism, first year was great. Second year was not so great because I made a mistake of getting to student politics. I applied for assistant public relations position. I took that and then applied for president position. And I can comfortably say in the history of the journalism department, I am the first ever president who quit. And I'm very proud of it because once I quit, my results skyrocketed, my sense of joy was amazing. I had an amazing time. And yeah, my final year was great. But towards the end of the year, this is where the video gets interesting. Towards the end of the year, I started thinking I wanted to do my blog. I wanted to write on my blog. I was getting some traction. People enjoy what I was doing. I felt it. Again, it was like the literature of writing thing. I felt it. This is what I should be doing. But guess what I did? You know what I did, right? I didn't listen. I made the same mistake again. I did not listen to my gut. And so when I graduated, I had a conversation with my dad, and he essentially told me, listen, you're a smart kid, but you need to understand some level of responsibility, and I think a job would teach you that. And the mistake I made is that I listened. And I don't know if it was a mistake or it was just fate for me to come face to face again with that feeling of not doing what I know I should be doing. And so 2015, I graduate, I leave, and I struggle to get a job in Douala. Any job. I apply and I can't get it. I mean, imagine, I'm trying to be the least prideful as I can here, but I know I'm smart. Like, I have proof, diplomas and results. As you watch these videos, you can hear that I'm smart. I'm aware that I'm actually quite intelligent. And there is something that happens when you keep putting yourself out there, you keep getting bashed, doors getting closed, people saying no. You start doubting yourself. You start feeling less than. You start feeling like, was that all an illusion? Did I really work for these things, or did they just give me because, I don't know, because I was me, or because they liked me? And that was a feeling that I was having for a long time. I moved to my aunt's in Douala, started going to getting jobs, and my parents pulled some strings, talked to some people. Whether I was lucky or they actually accepted my application, I do not know. But eventually, I got a position as an intern at a TV station, Canal 2 International. That month was a very grueling month where I had to come face to face with my own handicap. The first thing that happened there, which doesn't have much to do with the college experience because I've already quit it 2 times, and for me to get to the 3rd time, which is in the US, I need to tell this whole story. But I'm going to skip it up a little bit because I need you to understand what is important about finding what you want. This whole journey is about finding myself. 1 month, I could speak English and French. Alors j'arrive à Canal 2 et ils découvrent que j'arrive à parler le français et l'anglais. Ils décident que je vais pouvoir faire les deux. Donc je vais faire le journal en français et le journal en anglais. Et c'est quelque chose qu'au début je pensais que c'était très intéressant. Je me sentais comme si j'avais réussi dans la vie. Donc les gens veulent que je parle français et anglais, que ce soit les textes en anglais, français, je parlais. Mais je n'avais pas constaté que c'était très difficile de faire les deux. And I'm going to stop here with the French because I'm sure you'll probably be like, what? But after about 2 to 3 weeks, I got very exhausted. And oh, might I add that it was an unpaid internship with the likelihood of getting a possibility of a job, but not very certain. That's what the internship was. And as I was doing that, another thing that I would add is also I was hoping to, since I had gotten to the tech space in Boya, I wanted to do a technology show. A show that had to do with entrepreneurship and apps and technology and everything. But for some reason, which I still can't wrap my head around, it was impossible for me to do that then. Maybe I was ahead of my horses. Maybe I needed to be more patient. Maybe I just needed to wait. But I couldn't. I didn't. And I didn't want to. And that is the month, 2015, 2016, that I met Srini Rao of The Unmistakable Creative. I would walk from Canal 2 every night, listening to my headphones in Douala in the evening to Lokpom. If you've watched the video, maybe you haven't yet, I made a video where I actually met Srini, after a couple of years when I moved here to the US. That 1 month listening to The Unmistakable Creative rewired my brain the same way James Altucher rewired my brain about writing, about living on your own terms. And these are triggers of the lessons I learned because that's also around the time that I started the magazine with my friend Bifun called Selfish. And a lot of things happened around that period because I also met with one of my mentors, Alex Quest, who is one of the co-founders of Iyaboya. And we didn't meet physically, we met online because I was writing, I was still putting this thing out. And I think that's one other lesson I need to actually bring up. Document your journey. Document your journey, share your experience, and I need to remind myself of this. This video is actually me doing that. Share your journey because you never know who is watching. If I wasn't writing these stories, if I wasn't putting myself out there, I would never have met Alexander Quest. Because what happens next may not have much to do with quitting college, but I think you're going to see how this whole thing played to getting me to a position where I'll find out more about myself. I'll tell you about the 3rd time I quit in a subsequent video, not in this one, because the 2 main important ones, you already listened to them, biochemistry and medical science, and the 3rd one ties in with my journey, and it will eventually pop up in one of the videos. So I don't want to make this series longer than it needs to. Subscribe and like and comment, and let me know if you like this video like this storytelling format where it's just me and you on the camera. You take care, my friend. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.